should continue to commemorate and celebrate Nelson Mandela on what would have been his 100th birthday. When Mr. Van Dyke asked me to speak today, I was both honored and afraid. Afraid that I would not be able to articulate the effect Nelson Mandela and other activists like him have had on my life. And I will also be talking about why I believe we should continue to remember and celebrate his life. Due to limited time, I have selected a few resources to display that contain more specific details about his life that I will not be speaking about today. This PowerPoint will be available on the server. I also urge you to look at the display in the foyer of cartoons and drawings put up by history students. I also realized while thinking about this speech that I could only speak from my perspective, so this account will be a personal one. I want to start off by acknowledging that there are many other apartheid activists that do not receive the same recognition, who are also deserving of our gratitude. But Nelson Mandela's legacy is tangible, and information about him is abundant, and he had an undeniable impact on our nation. I will never be able to comprehend what my family went through, let alone what Nelson Mandela, a man who was in prison for 27 years for his beliefs, went through. The effects on his family were devastating. Imagine not seeing your father as you grow up and knowing that he was stuck in a cell somewhere. Personally, I find it extremely frustrating that I will never understand what it was like to live through apartheid as a person of color, or to know what I would have done had I been tested like so many other brave activists who took up the fight. Us learners were born into a free South Africa and are constantly reminded of this privilege. But are we really free? It is so easy to fall into the belief that our country is a happy, diverse rainbow nation. We need to acknowledge that it is flawed, and that the wounds inflicted on our country will take many, many years to heal. If saving our country seems unattainable, let's look at the very institution we find ourselves in today. There are many issues in our school that need to be addressed. These issues are much easier to ignore, but I believe Nelson Mandela would have wanted us to be brave. It is time to question things we have always believed true, and put ourselves in uncomfortable places. We need to have uncomfortable conversations, learn new things about each other, and unlearn the systematic systems that have been ingrained in us. The ability to express ourselves and share our stories is a privilege that should not be taken for granted. I find myself questioning what Nelson Mandela would say if he had been alive, what he would ask of his country and his people, what we can do to honor his legacy, and how we can learn from his passion, compassion, resilience, humility, and most of all, his power to forgive. But dwelling on the what-ifs does not serve much use. We are in the present, and what I am trying to do is be conscious. To be conscious of the issues we face as individuals, as a school, and as a country. To be conscious about what are the structural issues which contribute to the extreme inequality, such as poverty and unemployment and systematic racism, unemployment which beset our world. And then finding new ways to directly confront these systems which perpetuate this. I know the best way to honor Nelson Mandela's legacy, and what I can learn from it is that I should work hard to navigate my way through these complex times, and accept that there are some things I will never be able to understand. I should be consciously trying to better myself and learn new things, and help wherever I can. I should take every opportunity I have to do something to better our situation, whether it be the 67 minutes that we did this morning, or putting effort in our dialogue day, or acknowledging how lucky we were to hear Dennis Goldberg speak. I'm so grateful for the people in our community, and I value all of you, and I believe we each have something to offer the world. Nelson Mandela's sacrifices and struggle laid the foundation for our democratic society. The core values he fought for, namely non-racialism, non-sexism, equality, unity, and diversity are fundamental aspects of our Constitution, values of our country, and my own personal values. These values are still applicable and necessary in our turbulent world, perhaps more now than ever. Something that Professor Goldberg said to us really stuck with me when he quoted Nelson Mandela at the Rovonia trial and said, "This is an ideal for which I am willing to die." Many did die for this ideal. Many were never able to see the ideal take true form. I think it is fitting, considering it was recently Youth Day, that we pay tribute to the struggle heroes who sacrificed a great deal for us to be here today. But more importantly, realize that it is our responsibility now. Our power, our voices, our influence should not be underestimated. We have platforms that should not be abused. Our feelings, beliefs, views, and voices are valid. It is in our hands now. I will now read a quote by Nelson Mandela that gives some guidance on how he believes we should live our lives. "For to be free is to not merely cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." Although we may have freed ourselves from our chains, we do have some work to do in the way that we live and treat others, as well as how we treat ourselves. I think it is important to continue to commemorate Mandela because he can teach us so much. He reminds us that the work is not done, and he leaves us to carry the weight of building the South Africa that him and so many others dreamed of and fought for. This year is a special one, and as you reflect on the life of Nelson Mandela, I ask that you keep Ma Winnie Madikizela in your thoughts and prayers as well, as she passed away this year. Thank you so much for the opportunity today, and I hope you take something away from what I have said.